Yes, that is not a typo. You heard it right. Believe it or not, there are people who are having coronavirus parties during this crazy pandemic. There is even a Wikipedia entry for the term. It defines it as a coronavirus party, also called corona party or lockdown party, which is a gathering with the intention of catching COVID 19 or simply on the basis that the participants are not worried about the consequences for themselves or the community. Back in March, CNN reported that a group of young adults held a coronavirus party in Kentucky to defy orders to socially distance. Now, one of those participants has coronavirus, according to this report. According to the governor of the state, the partygoers were thinking they were invincible, and he also added, "This one makes me sad." And these so-called coronavirus parties are known to have taken place in countries such as the US, the UK, Germany, and Australia. And this is despite the fact that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention showed that up to 20% of people who are hospitalized with coronavirus in the US are between the ages of 20 and 44. In early May, a report in The Guardian also added that Washington State warned about the coronavirus parties after receiving reports that non-infected guests were socializing with those who have tested positive for the virus. The reason they have these parties is the people who engage in these parties have this idea where if you catch the virus and you're exposed to the virus and you don't get really sick, potentially there's a chance that you might have developed the antibodies that protect you against the virus. But the question is, does this work? In theory, yes, but you have to be really damn to do this, obviously because of the risks that are involved. And we do have some historical precedent as far as these so-called pandemic parties. In the past, people have engaged in what's called rubella parties. Rubella is a virus that causes an infection, and also smallpox parties. And again, the goal of this is to intentionally expose people to a virus so that they can get some sort of immunity. And there are some evidence in terms of the scientific thinking. For example, around 80% of those people who catch the virus, or in this case the coronavirus, don't go on to develop a severe form of the disease, meaning most people will be okay even after being infected by the virus. However, but we don't know what happens to the other 20%. The other 20% obviously would go on to develop a severe form of the disease, meaning they develop a severe form of symptoms, they get hospitalized, they can end up in ICU and end up being intubated. And broadly speaking, obviously, we also have more than 100,000 deaths due to the COVID-19 pandemic in the US alone. And given our lack of knowledge about the duration of the immunity, intentional exposure might not lead to the long-term immunity that some people are alleging. It might not even protect against reinfection too. At the same time, the long-term impact of COVID-19 on those who end up surviving from the virus remain uncertain, meaning we don't have good knowledge in terms of the pathogenesis of the virus itself. But we do have some data in terms of the damage that the virus can cause. For example, people can develop lung complication, they could have neurologic damage, and also suffer cardiovascular damage, including a stroke. There are also issues of asymptomatic transmission, meaning people can transmit the virus without their full knowledge. For example, you could end up transmitting the virus to your teachers, your co-workers, your kids, or if you have siblings, to your siblings, obviously, to your grandma, grandpa. So you could spread this virus pretty easily without you even being aware of the virus. So that means if you are exposed to the virus intentionally, you can transmit the virus for a number of days, weeks, without you being aware of the start of the virus. And even worse, we don't have any effective treatment for the virus, and our healthcare system is obviously overstretched. And given the many things that could go wrong, meaning you can be really sick, so you don't want to take a chance. It's highly encouraged that people do not expose themselves to the coronavirus, meaning for now, it's better to hold off on that coronavirus party until we get the pandemic under control. Thank you for watching ScieHeal. Please subscribe and leave us some comments.